This video is sponsored by Silverstone. The innovative Ice Mist all-in-one cooler allows you to stack RGB fans on the water block, which can easily direct airflow to any hotspots on the motherboard, VRMs, or DRAM. Pick up the Ice Mist AIO today and equip your PC with this unique high-performance cooler.
Hey PC World fans, Adam here with arguably the most important person at CES 2024. This is Peachy Tech. You might know her from a build we did late last year. We're here to talk about aesthetics and planning out highly aesthetic builds, because I get some hangups, and well, when we did the Boba builds, we had some hangups too. So I thought it'd be nice, especially for first timers or somebody who's like really kind of building something very specific, to help kind of pick your brain about the process. So I think especially, well, I guess I should stop and say, I love the builds that you do. Go subscribe over on Peachy Tech on YouTube, on TikTok. You do really lovely builds, and I think it's hard because when I try to plan something out that's not just like performance or whatever, and I don't care what it looks like, sometimes I get caught with like, oh, well, I want a specific aesthetic, but like my options are limited.
Yeah.
Is there a way to get around that? Like, how do you plan for that kind of thing?
I think, well, for me, when I first do a build, I think the first thing I start with is like, or let's say, even if I'm doing a build for a friend, I'm like, first of all, like, what are you gaming on? Like, what resolution? What games are you gonna play?
Okay. So the good questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like we're really starting from the beginning, like putting together the build list.
No, that
and
is
then
good.
For me, the important questions, I'm like, what color do you like? What aesthetic do you like? Do you like RGB? Do you like something kind of low key?
Wait, so you start with like basic color kind of stuff?
Yeah. Like, what's the vibe of your setup? I think like right now there's some pretty good options in terms of aesthetics. Like people who like kind of like minimalistic. Maybe they have like a lot of wood in their setup. I would be like Fractal North maybe. So after I figure out kind of like what specs they need, like if they needed like an i9 and a 4090, I wouldn't be like Fractal Terra.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but after I figured that out, I usually go for like case discussions, like do you want something big, something small, and then color. Sometimes I have had people who want like not black or white, and they're like, oh, I want a pink case or I want a blue case.
Well, and definitely black, and I mean, I feel like there's a lot more options for white recently, for sure, but like black is obviously the traditional thing. I guess real quick though, how many people are trying to build whole aesthetics? Like they're like, hey, I have a setup, here's my mouse and keyboard, my mat, and you know, I gotta make it fit within my whole aesthetic.
I don't think people are usually like, oh, my mat is already purple, so my computer needs to be purple.
Oh, okay.
I think it's usually like aspirational, like this is what I want my setup to look like, and then they'll kind of like build everything around what the PC ends up looking like.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
so
nice.
you could always like swap out like your keyboard, your desk mat. Like some people have a bunch, but
I know.
And then in terms of customization for colors, like if they want some crazy color, I usually get the white version because it's really easy to like paint over.
Yeah, so actually you have some tutorials on your channels. Yeah, about like painting stuff. That's the other part that I definitely get like, ooh, I don't know, like that scares me to like spray paint something that you just paid hundreds of dollars for. Is it safe? Is it easy to do? I mean, you seem to do
like
it.
painting a graphics card or something?
Yeah. Or like specific parts, because I mean, you're not painting the whole GPU, right? Usually it's like a back plate or something.
I think like a case, definitely easy. Like you can't really mess up a case unless you paint it over like the dust filter or something. Don't do that.
I'm sure somebody's done it. You know.
But I think in terms of painting, like I would say it's safe as long as you fully disassemble everything.
Okay.
Like sometimes, like I mean, technically you could cheat and just tape off like the bottom of the RAM, and you should not do that. Like just take everything apart. Just take it apart.
Okay.
I think Linus did a video about like spray painting monitors because someone was trying to like just tape it off and then paint the edges. Like just take it apart, please.
Don't cut corners. It's
do not cut corners. Take pictures of like what screws are coming from where.
Documentation.
Documentation.
Well, what about what kind of like paint to use? I mean, you're not talking about like actual paint brushes. You're talking about spray paint.
Okay, yeah. In terms of painting, you're gonna need a ton of tools. First off, you need like a respirator because
do you need one?
You should.
Okay.
I think you should, especially so let me get into the next one. Is I don't just use like Rust-Oleum now. I actually buy like car paint. You can buy car paint in like spray cans.
Like car grade paint?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's for like fixing like dings or DIYing like fixes.
Okay, that's a good call because I didn't know spray paints could be different. I was just like, you go to the store and get a spray paint.
The Home Depot paint, it takes like 3 days to cure. and it can chip really easily. And if you touch it before curing, it's like goopy, and like your fingerprints will like get in it. And so when I first started, a lot of the times I would get impatient and I'd want to put the graphics card back together.
Yeah.
And it would have my fingerprints all over it. Because you have to wait literally like 3 to 5 days.
That's hard.
Yeah, with the car paint, it cures in like an hour.
Wow.
So you can pretty much reassemble it like the next day.
Dang.
And then, so you'll need a base coat, you'll need a ton of different grits of sandpaper, because you'll want to rough up the surface so it can like grip.
Grip.
And that's what I learned from doing nails. You have to like rough up the surface, do a base coat, sand it, maybe wet sand it, do your color coat, probably like 2 or 3, depending on like coverage, and then wet sand it, and then top coat, and then you're done. And then don't touch it for a day.
Don't touch it for a day. All right. Well, I mean, so I guess that's getting around just off-the-shelf parts. Because, I mean, say somebody is looking for like teal or something.
Yeah.
I don't know too many teal GPUs.
Thermaltake. Do they? GPUs. But they have cases.
Yeah, they've got cases. But yeah, no, I'm just thinking of like specific components where it's just like.
GPUs, I've seen.
GPUs are usually just black.
I've seen white,
now there's
black,
white.
And pink.
Oh, you seen pink? Oh,
yeah,
okay. Well,
Yestun has a pink 4070.
Here's a good question. If somebody wants to go for like a teal or something, and it doesn't have to be the whole thing, maybe it's accents or something, is it better to get a black GPU or a white GPU to paint on?
White.
So you'd go white.
Well, actually, no, that's a lie. Okay, let me take a step back. I like painting white parts because you don't have to worry about coverage as much. But if I was painting the GPU anyways, I would buy the black one because the white one's usually more expensive.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Yeah. And there's still limited options. We ran into that in the Boba one. Yeah. We kind of had to change last minute.
But. Yeah, so I would get a black one, and then your primer will usually be a gray color, so that will kind of like tone it down, so it's not too much to cover.
So would you rather start with base all parts black and try to get color in there, or base all parts white and get color in there? Or try to get the colors that you need and build around that? Or I guess it doesn't depend on the situation?
I think it just depends, like build to build. Like say someone wants like a lavender, I wouldn't want to get like a black case. I would get a Snow White. Because lavender and black, like I don't think those look as good together. So, but then if I was doing red, I would buy like black.
Okay, so it's all about the pairing.
I think it depends. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
There's a science to it.
I know. Well, that's
some
why.
Some color theory, maybe.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you. I mean, that's a good point.
And these are all just like my personal preference too. Like.
Yeah. Well, but color theory is definitely a thing.
That's true.
Do you have any like places that you can point people to be like, hey, if you want to like the basics of color theory, or like how did you kind of learn some of that stuff?
Oh my gosh.
Or was it just you learned over time?
I used to paint like as a kid, but you don't have to be an artist. I think like there's a couple websites actually where you can like generate color palettes if you're trying to figure out like a color palette for your setup. Or Pinterest is a good place to look for inspiration. There's like a whole bunch of different modders that have like really cool builds that are all very colorful that you could find on like Instagram or YouTube.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, throughout the course of my life in different ways, I've definitely looked at other people's stuff to be like, okay, I'm going to use that as inspiration and then tailor make it for my own aesthetic. So then I guess the next big thing is like compatibility. Right?
Yeah.
Because sure, you might be like, oh, okay, I found the parts, and the color profile I want, and the performance aspect, but then you got to make sure it all fits together.
Yeah, so I use PC Part Picker.
Okay.
We had issues doing our custom loop because PC Part Picker can't really check for custom loop stuff.
Yeah, right. Because you can't even like list in, like I guess you could do a custom listing for fittings and all that stuff. Yeah.
So if you're just doing like AIO or air cooler, throw everything in a PC Part Picker. It's usually like really, really good about telling you if things fit, whether it's from like a compatibility or even like space. Like if your case doesn't have enough clearance for something, like it'll usually flag for you. So definitely put everything into there. I think for custom loop stuff, the way I plan it is usually I use like Photoshop or Photopea, and I'll literally get like the picture of the case, the picture of like the different components, and like
you'll take a picture.
No, I'll get it from the manufacturer, and then I'll like put it into Photoshop and like see where everything is, and then I'll draw out like what I want the tubes to look like.
Wow.
Which has helped me. I didn't do it in ours, and I feel like that's where we went wrong.
It's okay, partially my fault, scheduling. So
Oh well.
It was fun. We learned on the job, but yeah. So I mean, I guess it's different for custom loops because then you definitely have to plan out the parts. But then the other part is the actual components
Yeah.
themselves, a case to make sure, or if it has GPU clearance,
Yeah.
if
Like
you
RAM
go,
compatibility, power
Right.
supply.
All
It'll
that
even
kind of basic
flag
kind
if
of
your
stuff.
power supply is like good enough
Yeah.
or like has enough wattage. The other thing I wanted to say actually is
Yeah.
like for customization nowadays, I feel like it goes far beyond parts because I'm seeing people like I'm starting to tie bows in my PC.
Oh.
If you saw on TikTok. I don't know if it's super safe. I make sure it's very tight so it's not
Okay.
going to unravel and like get stuck in the
Interesting.
fans. But
well, I know Willis, he had a Gundam kind of theme in his build. He put a little Gundam figure.
yeah, people put what are those like those things from blind boxes? It's
the
escaping
Funko
me.
Pop things.
Yeah, they're like Funko Pops. They have like different ones, like Simskis and like other figurines. Like people will put on their GPU or like
got it.
on the bottom stickers. There's like car window stickers of like peeking characters that are like super cute on
Yeah.
your computer.
Or sometimes we're actually at the Hype booth. You can get
And-
something that
yeah,
actually has
literally. You
the
could just
stickers
get a
built
case.
into the case. So how often are you getting
free clout for
yeah,
Hype.
yeah, I know, yeah, exactly. How often are you getting cases or people being like, oh, I really like it because I like this Persona 3
These are
case.
super cool.
Yeah, but how
they're
many-
like UV printed on too.
How
It's
many
really
people are
nice.
actually wanting that?
A
Like,
lot of people
a lot of
actually.
people are?
I
Oh, okay,
just
wow.
did. Yeah, so I found a local. Oh, that's another thing actually. So you could get like a pre-made case from like Hyatt or something
Yeah.
if they already have like a partnership, which Hyatt actually has a lot. I know
Oh, definitely, yeah.
other companies have their own like original art and stuff, but if you maybe like have art or have a design that you want, you could always go to a local print shop. And for the commissions I've done where people want something custom, I found a shop near me in the Bay Area that does UV printing on panels.
wow.
And it is kind of pricey. Like I think one panel costs like $80 to print on full color.
You're talking about like a side panel, yeah.
I did a back panel, but I
you
don't
did a
think it's
back
like the
panel.
same
Oh,
thing.
okay.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much the
yeah.
same. Yeah. So and then
But that's not bad. $80. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, especially if it's custom, it's
Yeah,
one of
it's
a
like
kind.
UV print. Well, and they're not making the art. They're literally just printing it. So you provide the
Yeah,
art, you
yeah.
tell them how big, and then they can print it. And it's not a sticker, so it'll never peel off. It'll never like
Chip
scrape
away.
off and stuff.
Yeah. Dang,
I
that's a good
think if
tip.
you really wanted to take it off, I think you could with acetone, but don't quote
Oh,
me on
really?
that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If you ended up changing your mind, but
I try not to mess with chemicals too much.
Yeah.
those are all good tips. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
course.
I mean, if people want to go see what you do, obviously go watch your TikTok, Peachy Tech,
Check me out.
YouTube, right? You're always putting up that kind of stuff. Really aesthetically pleasing. That's why I love working with you because you
Thanks,
think about it.
Adam.
You think about it, but you also don't sacrifice on performance and things like that. It's a delicate balance, right? It's a
Definitely.
delicate balance. So go subscribe over there and be sure to subscribe here on PC World for more CES 2024 videos. We'll see you in the next one.